Pixelmator Pro is an incredibly powerful and very easy to use image editor for Mac. In this tutorial, we'll take a quick look at most of its key features. Let's start with creating and opening images. This is the Welcome window. Here, you can choose to create an empty new document, open an image from your Photos library, or browse and open images saved on your Mac. Using Pixelmator Pro, you can edit your photos, create designs and illustrations, paint, and more. If you're creating a new design or illustration, you'll usually want to start working on an empty new document, so let's do that. This is the template chooser, which contains image size presets for many common image sizes. To create an image with a custom size, you can enter it at the bottom here. If you'd like to add this custom size to the template chooser, you can click the File menu and choose Save as Template. There are even more ways to open images in Pixelmator Pro. For example, one of the best ways is by simply dragging and dropping images onto the app's icon in the dock. Now that we've opened an image, let's explore the interface. The main Pixelmator Pro window can be divided into 4 parts. The toolbar at the top, the tool sidebar on the right, the layer sidebar on the left, and your image in the center. The tool sidebar contains all the tools you'll use to edit images and the options for every tool. The layer sidebar displays all the layers in your image. We'll explain layers a little later. The toolbar has controls for hiding and showing parts of the interface. It also gives you a quick way to zoom in and out. And there are a few options for working with the entire image rather than individual layers. Finally, the image you're working on is displayed in the center of the application window. By the way, if you ever want to hide the entire interface and just take a quick look at the image you're editing, you can click the View menu and choose Hide Interface. In that same menu, you'll find pretty much all the options for hiding, showing, and customizing the Pixelmator Pro interface. Now let's talk a little about layers. Pixelmator Pro is a layer-based image editor. That means it lets you add and combine different kinds of layers, such as image layers, shape layers, and text layers, to create your own images. To hide or show a layer, you can click its visibility icon in the layer sidebar. Note that when some part of your image is completely transparent, you'll see the checkerboard pattern. There are many different ways to add layers to an image. For example, you can click the plus button at the top of the layer sidebar and add an empty new layer. If you were to paint or draw on this empty layer, the layer below wouldn't be affected, but it would look like you were painting on your image. Now, you can move this star-filled layer independently of the rest of your image. To make it easier to work in images with many different objects, you can also create group layers from multiple individual layers. To do that, select some layers in the Layer sidebar, then Control-click one and click Group. Grouping layers together is useful for organizing layers, but a great feature of groups is that you can also apply effects and color adjustments to them as if they were a single layer. At the bottom of the Layer sidebar, you'll find controls for adjusting the opacity of layers and changing their blending modes. Let's explore the Tool sidebar. Tools are laid out according to what they do. At the top is the Arrange tool, which you use to choose, move, rotate, align, and transform layers. Then there are the 3 non-destructive tools that change the look of layers in different ways: the Style tool, the Color Adjustments tool, and the Effects tool. Below them are the Selection tools, which let you select a specific area of a layer to edit, delete, or isolate in other ways. Some tools are grouped together with others, like the Quick Selection tool and the Color Selection tools. To select a tool in a group, double-click the group, Control-click it, or click and hold it. Then we've got the painting tools, such as the Paint tool and the Color Fill tool. The next group is the Retouching tools, which includes the Repair tool, the Warp tool, and others. After that are the Shape and Text tools, the Pen tools, Shape tools, and various Type tools. Finally, we've got the Zoom tool and the Crop and Export for Web tools in one group. You can also choose tools from the Tools menu. There, you'll find the keyboard shortcuts for each tool. Now it's time to take a look at a few of the tools more closely. First, the Arrange tool. This is the tool you use to position, resize, rotate, and organize layers. To move a layer, you can simply drag it. If you press and hold the Command key, you can click to select multiple layers on the canvas. If you lock the background layer, you can also easily drag to select multiple layers. With a few different layers selected, you can align and distribute them using the buttons in the Tool Options pane. To make it easier to position a number of different layers more precisely, you can also use rulers and alignment guides. To see the rulers, choose Show Rulers from the View menu. Then, to add a guide, you can simply drag it out from a ruler. You can also add guides by double-clicking a ruler and entering the exact position of your new guide. Now, when you move any objects, they will snap to your guides with pixel-perfect precision. Another great feature of the Arrange tool is automatic layer selection. It's on by default, but sometimes you might want to turn it off to make it easier to move objects behind other objects. With Auto Select turned off, you'll need to make sure to select every layer in the Layers sidebar before moving it on the canvas. Next, let's check out the Color Adjustments tool, which lets you adjust the colors of images. If you want to automatically enhance the look of a photo with a click, simply click the ML Enhance button. This feature uses a machine learning algorithm trained on millions of professional photos to intelligently adjust the colors and lighting in a photo. And the changes it makes are visible in the Color Adjustments pane, so you can also fine-tune them yourself. At the top of the Tool Options pane, you'll notice the Presets browser, which contains a wide range of color adjustment presets organized into collections. To apply a preset, simply click it. If you especially like a particular preset, you can Control-click it and add it to your favorites, in which case you'll always have quick access to it in your favorites collection. Finally, you can show and hide certain adjustments using the Customize button at the bottom here. Effects work in a similar way to color adjustments. They also non-destructively change the look of a layer, letting you create blurs, distort layers, tile them, or even fill them with patterns and other images. Just like in the Color Adjustments tool, you'll find a Presets browser at the top of the Tool Options pane with a collection of effect presets. Clicking a preset applies a number of effects with predefined settings. But you can also apply effects individually to create your own effect combinations. The order of effects determines how they're combined. The bottom effect is applied first, then the one above it, and so on. To rearrange effects, you can simply drag and drop them. Now let's talk a little about another feature of layers, layer masks. Masks are one of the most powerful features of layer-based image editors. They let you non-destructively hide, or in other words, mask layers. To apply a mask to a layer, you can Control-click it in the Layers sidebar and choose Add Mask. The thumbnail of the layer mask is now displayed next to the layer itself, and the blue outline indicates that the layer mask is selected. Layer masks work in grayscale, or in other words, black and white. Areas that are pure white are fully visible. The default layer mask is completely white, so it doesn't hide anything. If you were to open the Format menu and choose Invert Colors and invert the colors of the mask, it would completely hide every part of the layer. So, to quickly recap, layer masks work in grayscale. White areas will be completely visible. Black areas will be completely masked. And gray areas will be partially transparent. To precisely edit layer masks, you'll most often use the painting tools. For example, you can choose the Paint tool, select a hard basic brush, and set its color to black if you want to hide areas, or white if you want to reveal areas. Then simply paint over the areas of the layer that you'd like to hide or reveal. Along with painting over specific areas, you can also use the Gradient Fill tool to gradually reveal areas, creating a fade effect. To do that, you can choose a black to white gradient, then click and drag in your image to gradually fade out a layer. In addition to layer masks, Pixelmator Pro also includes clipping masks. Clipping masks clip the contents of one layer in your document to the outline of another. They're incredibly useful when you need to quickly fill a layer with a texture or an image. To create a clipping mask, Control-click a layer and choose Create Clipping Mask. Note that when using clipping masks, the bottom layer acts as the mask layer. So with two layers, the top layer provides the contents, and the bottom layer provides the shape. However, when creating the mask, you actually need to Control-click the upper layer. Now let's explore shapes. First, the Shape tool. In the default list of tools, you'll find the Shape tool here, between the Pen and the Type tools. You'll notice the Shape tool includes a number of shape presets in a few different collections. There are several ways to add a shape to an image. For example, you can click to select a shape, then start drawing on the canvas. You can also double-click a shape, or drag and drop it from the browser. Some shapes are smart shapes, and they have certain features that can be adjusted. You can adjust the number and length of the star shape's points, for example. Shapes layers are vectors, and you can also edit shapes more precisely by adjusting their individual vector points. To do that, Control-click a shape and choose Make Editable. In addition to adding pre-designed shapes, you can also draw your own using the Pen and Freeform Pen tools. Check out our tutorial and illustration if you'd like to learn more. To customize the look of a shape, you use layer styles. Layer styles are displayed in the Tool Options pane when editing shapes, but the same settings are also available in the Style tool. By default, the fill and stroke layer styles are applied to shapes, but if you click the Add Style button, you'll also be able to apply other styles. There are 4 layer styles in total. Fill, which lets you fill layers with colors and gradients. Stroke, which lets you add solid color or gradient outlines around layers. Inner shadow, which lets you add a shadow to the inner edges of a layer, giving it a recessed appearance. And shadow, which lets you add a drop shadow to a layer. Here in the Style tool, you'll also find a variety of layer style presets. To add text to an image, you use the Type tool. Pixelmator Pro includes a few different text tools, so let's start with the basic Type tool. Using the Type tool, you can add 2 basic types of text layer to your images, a free text box and a bounded text box. To add a free text box, simply click anywhere in your image. When you start typing, the text box will automatically resize to fit all the text it contains. Pixelmator Pro also features text presets that make it very easy to quickly style your text. Now, to add a bounded text box, click and drag in your image. A bounded text box will always have the size you specify. To change the look of text, you can adjust the settings here in the Type tool. Along with the basic Type tool, Pixelmator Pro includes a Path Type tool for typing text on paths, although you can use any of the tools to type text along paths and shapes. Text layers can also be converted into shape layers or pixel layers. If you convert some text into a shape, you can adjust each letter as if it were a vector shape, moving its points or reshaping its curves. There are also certain tools that work only with pixel layers, so converting text to pixels will make it possible to use those. One example is the Warp tool, a reshaping tool that lets you change the shape of pixel layers. When working with images, you'll often want to concentrate edits on specific areas of a photo, or, for example, cut out one part of a photo and combine it with another. For that, you would usually use the selection tools. The selection tools are grouped into 3 groups. The first group contains geometric selection tools. You can use these to make rectangular and elliptical selections. The second group features selection tools that let you trace the outlines of objects either manually or automatically. And the third group has selection tools that let you select areas based on their contents or color. Most of the time, the Quick Selection tool is the best general-purpose tool for making selections, though each one has its uses. In this case, we'll use the Color Selection tool. Once you've selected an area of an image, any areas outside of the selection generally won't be editable. For example, when making changes using the color adjustments or effects, only the selected area will change. Keep in mind that when working on selected areas, your changes will be merged with the layer once you clear your selection. To work non-destructively, you can duplicate your original layer. Then click Reselect to make your previous selection appear. And add a mask to the upper layer. The mask will be automatically created from your selection. Now when you make changes, this layer's masked areas won't be visible, and it will look like only the unmasked area is being edited. To crop the entire image, you use the Crop tool, which you'll find at the bottom of the tool list. You can crop to a particular aspect ratio or a custom size, and you can also choose to simply hide the cropped areas or completely delete them. If you'd like to crop parts of a particular layer rather than the entire image, you would need to use one of the selection tools, the Rectangular Selection tool in particular. You need to start by making sure to select the layer you'd like to crop in the Layer sidebar. After that, make a selection of the area you'd like to keep using the Rectangular Selection tool. And finally, click Invert in the Tool Options pane. Then press the Backspace key on your keyboard. Feel free to adjust the position of the cropped layer on the canvas using the Arrange tool. Now let's talk about adjusting the size of images. There are 2 ways to change the size of an image: image size and canvas size. When you adjust the size of an image using the image size command and the resample option is turned on, you'll be making the entire image bigger or smaller. If you turn off the resample option, The pixel size of the image will stay the same, but you'll be able to set a new print size using the existing pixel size. This is a great way to check what the maximum print size of an image is. Turn off the resample option and choose the unit you'd like to use. If you're printing something that will be viewed from very close, a photo or leaflet, you can use a resolution of 200 to 300 pixels per inch. Once you enter that, you'll see the maximum size at which you can print. If you're printing a poster or something else viewed from a little further away, you can enter 150. For billboards, you can even go as low as 20 ppi. Here, you'll also see that Pixelmator Pro features an algorithm that can increase the resolution of images using machine learning. This is great when you need to make an image bigger and want to avoid any pixelation. When you adjust the size of an image using the canvas size command, any existing layers in the image will stay the same size. You'll simply be adding or removing space around the image. By the way, you can drag the image in the preview to reposition the existing content on the new canvas. If you have an image with unwanted transparent or colored areas around its edges, you can also use the Trim Canvas command to remove those areas. When working on images, you'll sometimes want to revert to a previous version of your document. Simply choose Browse All Versions from the File menu to see all your previous edits. Pixelmator Pro supports the autosave and versions features of macOS, so your edits are automatically saved, and reverting edits couldn't be easier. When you open a simple image file or create an empty new document, a new file in the native Pixelmator Pro file format is created for you automatically. This file format supports all the features of Pixelmator Pro, including layers and other non-destructive data. When you open the File menu and choose Save, you'll be saving the file in the Pixelmator Pro file format. This means that when you later open the same file, all your layers will be right where you left them. However, if you want to post an image on the web or share it with someone who doesn't have Pixelmator Pro, instead of saving, you'll need to export it. To do that, choose the Export command from the File menu and choose the format you need. As a general rule, the JPEG format is used for photos, and PNG is used for graphics and images with transparency. Note that when you open this exported image, it will no longer have any layers. So that was a look at some of the most important features of Pixelmator Pro and the general workflow. Of course, Pixelmator Pro has many powerful features we haven't covered, but you can learn more about them on our tutorials page by watching other video tutorials and checking out the user guide, which we've linked to below. Thanks for watching, and we hope you have a lot of fun with Pixelmator Pro.